Good morning. It's Friday.
Oh, thank God it's Friday.
Really? Yes, absolutely. And it's the first Friday without Stephen Colbert.
I want to talk about him, but I also want to talk about you. Happy birthday yesterday.
Thank you.
And
It's
I
one of
love
the
it. Oh,
things.
look it. I even see you colored your hair for this week.
I put my crayon back in. I'm back to
I
blue.
love it.
And we have
So,
pink and blue shirts for our conference.
thank you. Oh my gosh. Between us, we got it done.
We do.
So thank you for being born because I love working with you.
My mom is the one, but she's not here to thank. So thanks,
Right.
Mom.
But I have to thank you because well, according to some belief systems, you chose this lifetime. So there you go.
Oh, I can't imagine I chose this, but I chose
know.
you and
Everybody
you chose
says.
me, and that's awesome.
And really, and we hooked up, and which this is going to lead into Stephen Colbert. But one, I had a Stephen Colbert 2-person party yesterday. One of the things about grief, that as I'm grieving, as you're grieving, parts of our sense of humor and humor decorum still come through. So I had ordered these shirts. Daryl was supposed to be here. I'm wearing a medium, and that's why you can see it so well. It's nice and tight. And so Daryl was supposed to be here, but of course he's in Florida taking care of another person.
Yeah.
And so my friend Judy, best friend of since high school, in high school, and she was going to come down. We were going to watch together the last Late Show. And so I was in the grocery store, and as many people, when you're grieving, you don't know when that's going to come on. So I was feeling pretty grinchy, and then I'd have a crying jag, and then I'd feel grinchy. It was just one of those days, but then I came around to the ice cream. And
there it is.
And there he is. So I got 2 late night host ice cream. I had never had the Jimmy Fallon before. And then I've had American Dream from Colbert, a little bit of gluten in there. And I said, I'm getting both of these. And I sent her a picture to prepare, which I was more amazed that in the fit of grinchy grief, I still was able to think ahead. And so I was feeling grateful. But the part that I want to weave in is really, they said it was financial.
Yeah.
And it was really First Amendment rights. And silencing him for calling the emperor or empress was not wearing any clothes. And I think about what you, Jill, and I get to do on this broadcast,
right,
which is we are not censored by the grief police, if there is such, but we also say, hey, for those of you who say God needed another angel, or aren't you glad they're out of pain, or whatever dumb shit people say because of their own ignorance, because they just keep using their religious beliefs to try to make themselves feel better when they're missing the point. I am so grateful you and I still have First Amendment rights, that we haven't been silenced yet. Yes. Oh, welcome, Mary.
And Ian's here too. Yes.
Ian.
Welcome. You know, we do have the ability still at this moment in time to do this.
And
on Facebook still. And there may come a time where we have to change platforms.
Right.
all of the platforms seem to be doing some serious editing, but so far we haven't run into that.
That's right.
But yeah, the loss of one of our people who could speak out and be inclusive and be supported by so many, that we had Sir Paul to serenade him out, right?
And what was and so I'm thinking a lot ahead, because everyone knows I speak at Unity Church, and on Sunday it's the last of the affirmation series, and I go, how much of a physical representation of grief, moving through grief, could this man be? And he
Right.
went out, he made a couple zings last night, but he let the celebration be about everyone that supported him along the way. And globally, they're losing the theater that has been, Sir Paul was on in 1964. Right where they're sitting is where
Which
they
was
played.
a wonderful year, I must say.
Yes, you were born then. And then I think about how when he was interviewing Anderson Cooper about grief, and I'm actually going to quote a lot of that for Sunday, and how he does more balancing of views, him being a very devout Catholic, practicing Catholic. And last night, Neil deGrasse Tyson was on, and Anderson says, not Anderson, Colbert says, I just thank God. And he goes, thank science. And the way he balanced that with different views.
We were so hoping the Pope would make a surprise appearance.
Well, the real Pope did not. But the one that knows what a Chicago dog is, which I talked about last week as part of my comfort food.
Right.
The Pope, he knows.
Right.
That was perfect. And John Baptiste, who had to move on once again, grieved being off the show. But at the time, he was also pre-grieving the cancer his wife has.
Right.
And how his whole life had to change. And what did I keep saying Anderson. Oh my gosh. What did Stephen and what a great metaphor. Stephen and Paul McCartney talking about change. And with his Apple phone, with his iPhone, right? And he goes, I paid for it this way. Not for updates.
Right.
Who likes change?
How many the people I work with, many of them are largely homebound. And for them, this was the end of a relationship. And there is true grief. Even there's no death involved, but there's the death of the show. And it's the death of that relationship, which is something that happens when there's a public loss, which is what this is. It's an absolute public loss with the loss of the show, because they don't have that to look forward to. They don't have that to listen for information, entertainment, to lighten the bad times. All the humor, grace, and grief, that was Colbert for them in many, many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And it's increased the loneliness for them, because this was a connection. He didn't know them. They didn't know him, but this was a connection.
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually increasing their loneliness with this loss.
Exactly. And the loneliness in there is there is an empty space at
Yes.
11:35, or I think you get it at 12:35 or 11. I think it comes on like at midnight for you guys or
Watch
something.
it on YouTube after it's been taped on the East Coast.
Oh, there you go. A little
Over
earlier.
60, I can't stay up that late.
I've been recording them. And so it's really, everybody's going to feel a little bit more lonely. Not on Friday nights. You know why? Because it's always a rerun on a Friday night.
Right.
Just about. So, next Monday night, people are going to be like, I forgot, like over the weekend. And then I forgot that he's not going to be on. And then Tuesday, they'll say, oh shit, I forgot again. And
it is very much like a death. It's you wake up and someone's not there, whether it's
that's right.
the poodle or the person or the TV show or going to the job or any of that when there's a major life shift. And Colbert was talking about, the loss of changes with Anderson Cooper. And for this is, he had a huge audience, and there are a lot of people who are going to be processing this loss all the way through. And hopefully taking some of what he did with the good and making that his legacy, which is also part of loss. So for the shirt you're wearing, that actually helped pay for a gigantic donation to World Central Kitchens, which is helping people right now with Ebola and all of the other places. He was someone who took the fame and did something really good with it and didn't take advantage of people with it.
He used his platform. And then we want to think, what do you think? There's like 300 people that work on that show. I'm just guessing. Where are they going after this? Now, something my daughter told me, there probably many of them hold SAG cards, right? And that's
Screen Actors Guild.
Screen Actors Guild. Thank you. And my daughter, who's working toward hers, said one of the really great things is you have to pay for it, but it's really good insurance. That's number one. And the second thing is you can collect unemployment. They know with the Screen Actors Guild, the name of the game is not steady employment, even if you're there full time or whatever. And
it comes with a very important addition of health insurance.
Yes,
that carries you through, and that is it's a gold standard for health insurance, which is nice. Right.
And so a lot of
those to keep your hours up, so you have to find another platform to jump into somewhere. But you get unemployment in between, and you do have to pay for your insurance in between. But that's people will be not well taken care of, but taken care of to some degree. And I am grateful for them, but they still lost all their jobs. They did. I know he was working with getting people jobs, and I know the other late night shows are absorbing some of them. But there's just a lot of people. And that is when employment changes, that is a huge shift, and it is a loss. And for those who are watching, who are looking at, what is retirement going to look like? That's a loss. We have students who are graduating right now, which is exciting for our staff. And yet that means their student hours are ending, and they're going to need to go find an associateship somewhere. And so there's shifts there. And that's what happens with employment loss. We have more grief than we think of when it comes to changes and where you have to show up every day. And Jill and I aren't saying loneliness is inevitable. It's saying that loneliness is a lot of times an
one of the outcomes that may happen with grief. So these people have lost a community.
Yes.
So there's a certain amount of like, oh shit, I'm not going to see him every day. And, different people of that staff talked about how personally the staff would show up at their mom's funeral or someplace else, or, she would get a check from Stephen or somebody that would just help them in the
It's the whole
moment.
family identity. And
Yes.
some work has that family collectivity and some work does not.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, when there's a work family, sometimes there's family dysfunction too.
Sometimes.
And so there's that
Sometimes.
too. Sometimes. All the time. There's the because we're human. Right?
That's probably more guaranteed than loneliness.
Right.
Yes. Jill and I say from experience.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it is what it is. And I say that because how does one move through anticipated grief, anticipated loss into the actual loss, through the actual loss, integrating the actual loss? And I want to talk from a personal level. From last Friday,
Mm-hmm.
I had not had all the stuff with my kitty, and we woke up Saturday morning, my husband and I, to our kitty being sick, and then for 4 days, I had taken her to one of two vets.
Coaster.
And then there's the feeding, and then there's the cleaning up, and then there's the da-da-da-da-da. Why am I saying this? Because self-care after 3 nights of no sleep, the 4th night, I took half like a sleeping pill, half, and I know I needed sleep. And that meant I would close my door, and if my kitty was sick during the night, all I could do, well, I thought about this for about 17 minutes, then I got up and took something. The 17 minutes of ruminating before I went to sleep was, how am I going to be perfectly blunt, how am I going to feel if I wake up and my cat's dead? That was a very real thing, but I had to think, if I get no sleep, I will be a mess.
Right.
This way. So I started watching how I thought about this loss, and where I could turn it off was something I learned in estrangement 3 years ago. Was I started thanking the universe for 11 years with my cat. I started remembering 11 years of joy, because that felt better,
right,
than thinking about, I'm going to wake up and my cat's dead. So if I'm going to be thinking about something that I at least can hold on to, I am thanking the universe. Oh man. And my cat's life flashed before my eyes. But I did wake up, and it turns out he was sleeping in his little bed outside of Daryl's in my bedroom. And I just say, and he's still here. He didn't really lose any weight, which was interesting. I've reduced his meds with the vet approval. And today I squirted them in his mouth with minimal saliva drool afterwards. And that's like 4 stars.
Right?
4 out of 4. So, yeah.
It seems really hard when there's a beloved one who's sick, and especially when they can't tell you what's wrong, where it hurts. Then there's that letting it be, and I need to take care of me while I'm taking care of
That's
the
hard.
ongoing,
That's
right?
hard.
It's what Daryl's doing in Florida right now. It's what
That's
you did in
hard.
Oregon.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So
It's a lot.
and so what we do with upcoming loss, I think just as important. It's equal to what we do after there is the loss and we begin the integration process.
Right.
Yeah. How do we
integrate that we're not going to have Stephen on Monday? And at some point, how do we integrate how we don't have our beloved 4-footers? And sometimes not so beloved 4-footers.
Well, that's like people.
Right. And, this is Memorial Day weekend. We have lots of people who, for them, this is not a 3-day weekend. This is an active Memorial weekend, and they are remembering people they served with who didn't come home. And because Memorial Day is not Veterans Day, it is for those who gave their lives in service. It's more than barbecues and buying a refrigerator on sale, right? And we have lots of veterans who watch this, and folks who have grown up with veterans as parents, or grown up without their veteran parents because of that loss. And so there's all of that. And yet right now, with the current political dynamic, some of that for some folks feels kind of stolen, because for some folks it's hard to even put up a flag anymore because it can be misinterpreted.
Exactly.
And that's hard too.
It's
and I hate to put it that way and put it in context of Memorial Day.
That makes
it's true.
I think of Pete Buttigieg. He is very he is openly gay and with a husband. So part of the country is denying his existence as a human being, let alone they've taken away and working to disassemble all the rights that have been gained for that community, LGBTQ community. And yet he served our country. And like a lot of trans people have served our country.
He did 4 tours. Right? Mary is saying one loss is the control that sane people of this country have lost over the years. She says she's 74 and it just astounds her.
Exactly, Mary. And, I think about how he honors people in the military that have given their all.
Right.
And yet some of those very people deny his existence. I mean, talk about rising above and graciousness. To me, that's like ultimate graciousness.
And the feeling of a loss of your identity as a veteran, trying to be taken. Mark Kelly's facing that too for other reasons. It's when I was in college, you could not sign up to serve in the military or any federal investigative agency if you were a member of the LGBTQ community. You were not welcome, and they would deny you. And then we got to the point where, okay, now, oh, look, you too can go fight and give your life for your country. And now it's back to, no, you shouldn't have done that. And there's something inherently wrong with you. And we're shifting back to that.
You can give your life, but we're not giving you anything in return. That's your choice. So now it's almost like a narcissistic blame.
Yes.
and shame.
And so I think for those of you who are going to be marking Memorial Day, find your way to do it in a way that is a way to honor the losses that you might be identifying with it, or the losses that other families have experienced that you are honoring. Create a legacy moment and make it your own instead of allowing others to take that from you.
Absolutely.
Which is what we do with all losses. We don't want anyone telling anyone else how to mark a loss or how to grieve.
We'll give you examples of what, and we'll give you metaphors. Like today, I posted, I think I reposted what Andrew put, Andrew Vitale, right? And he's part of the International Death, Grief, and Bereavement Society or conference. And he used food. He didn't, but he put out a grief is like a croissant. And have you seen this?
No.
Please check our page.
Layers, though.
It's all the layers. And he said, grief is the butter of a croissant.
It absolutely is.
Oh, and I'm like, I've never heard a food metaphor for grief. I've used food to cope with grief and talk about coping, but not the metaphor of grief. And so
I have a new article that I will be bringing on next week that someone from my church walked up to me with and said, "Oh yeah, Debbie, I'm with you on the croissants." I miss them desperately. There's no such thing as a good gluten-free croissant that I've ever met. But it's an article about using food as a metaphor, and it was breakfast in particular as a metaphor for grief. So I will bring it in. It's a short 1-page read, and
please. Oh right? My gosh. Yes. And speaking of, as we're moving through today's episode, next week, because we will be doing this from our hotel room.
Yes, we will.
Yes, Jill will have woken up, but somehow. Well,
Jill is
it'll be noon.
Midnight.
Yeah, you're getting in at midnight at Central Time, so you'll be woke up by. I'll make sure there's coffee in the room at 11:30, and I have some protein bars for you. And you do like chocolate and mint, right?
We will be. I carry my protein bars. That's a survival gear for flying.
Yes, right.
For a celiac person. So yes, so you will be seeing us do the program and we'll try to position our computers so that you've got a background of the Mississippi River behind us.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Because we still have a river view.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Very good. And I am just grateful. Once again, Jill and I got invited to do the pre-conference at International Death, Grief, and Bereavement next week. And it's our part is on Sunday, the 31st. And
all day Sunday.
Basically.
Andrew.
Yes. So I think it's from, 8 to 4? And then, so that's, looks like 8 hours, but with lunch and with Andrew, it's probably closer to 5 hours of speaking. And we're getting it together. I got all the craft together yesterday. And we're doing crafts. There'll be chocolate. There'll be ways to, a lot of suggestions on how to make yourself weirder than usual. And there will be wonderful stickers, and we have a lot for everybody. And the amount of people exceeded what Jill and I dreamt about. So we're very happy about that.
But one day we're going to get Debbie Jenkins Frankel to come to this conference.
Oh,
there's a throwdown right there.
Not just that, to speak.
Oh, that
I
was
think she should be a keynote.
She should be a keynote.
Yeah, especially Deb. Next year, it is on estrangement. This is your bailiwick
keynote. Yes.
Yeah, you can be one of the keynotes. We have keynotes every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Debbie, get your stuff in. They're looking for it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
We would love to have you there. It's a great conference.
So
with that being said, Jill has to go to work.
Okay. Bye, Jill. No. Bye, everyone.
We'll see you from the Mississippi River next week.
We will. And, I'm hoping your week is easier than last for everybody's.
Absolutely, everyone. Hold yourself up. Hold those around you up. Give yourself the break. Give yourself all of the things. And thank you, Ian. Ian says Stephen is wishing everyone a happy Friday and a happy Shabbat. He sent me that too. I was supposed to say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Take good care. We will see you next week from the Mississippi River. Bye.
Bye, everyone.